real estate biz is drastically changing, and modern real estate success can't be learned in some old course manual. This is everything they never told you about real estate, where industry leaders expose secrets to success, contemporary lead generation, and how to dominate social media. All moderated by your host, the real estate goat and queen of social media, Carrie Soave.
Welcome. I'm your host, Carrie, and I am joined with a very special guest, Phyllis De Prophetis. I almost called her Jampa because that's how I know her. We actually went to high school ages ago together in Niagara Falls. So Phyllis was born and raised in Niagara Falls. She's an agent in Niagara Falls. She has a large team with 6 agents. She works for Revel Realty. And you're partners with your husband too, Dennis, which is really cool. Yeah. We're going to talk about that, what it's like working with your husband, because I couldn't even imagine it. You're a mentor as well, and you've had your license for 15 years. So Phyllis, let's get down to it.
Yes. Okay.
What is the number one thing that nobody ever told you about our industry before you became a realtor?
Gosh, you know what? I think no one told me that it was so hard. Like I never expected it to be as hard as it is. I guess I didn't really ask, to be honest. I didn't even really know anybody in the industry when I first got my license. Anybody that I knew was kind of getting their license around the same time. And I really just jumped into it because we were starting a different business. Like my husband was investing in properties. And so that's kind of why I got into it originally. So I never really asked around, or we didn't have social media back then. I think you got licensed around the same time. You didn't have where people were marketing on social media. I don't even think I had social media back then.
Yeah.
So I didn't really know much about it. You know, you weren't seeing people advertising houses being sold on Instagram, that's for sure. So I would think like that was the thing. And no one really told me how hard it was going to be in terms of growing a business. No one really told me that it's an actual business that you're starting. You know, I never thought of it that way, that you're actually starting a business. It's not just getting another job kind of thing.
Yeah.
So those would be the things I would say.
Yeah, I feel like it's the same for all agents. We get our license and then we jump into the industry, and if we're lucky, we have a good SOI and we do the sales, and in terms of like the contracts and liabilities, we know what we're doing, but in terms of growing a business, I have no clue. So I just cringe. I've said this before. I cringe at thinking back to the amount of business I left on the table because I didn't have any systems in place. I didn't know. Nobody teaches you how to follow up, how to, I didn't even have a CRM for I want to say
I was just going to say the same thing. I was just going to say the same thing. I didn't even have one. I didn't have a database. I didn't have a CRM. I didn't have any of that until probably a good maybe 6 years that I was in the industry.
Yeah, and you really need it to be able to leverage your database and work it properly and put food on the table, right? So I don't know what I was doing. I think I just got super lucky and shit just was flying. And a big part of it, Phyllis, is I was super social. So I was out all the time, events, grand openings. So I was always face to face in front of, a lot of people. So that's, I think, what saved my career, not having any systems in place.
But that's a big part of this business.
Yeah. I don't recommend that for everybody else. I feel like get yourself a CRM. So Revel actually just, didn't they just implement KV Core into their brokerage?
Yes.
I've been working with KV Core for almost 3 years now. I'm like an expert on it. I coach it. I teach it. How are you liking it?
You know what? I love it. It was definitely an adjustment to get used to. We were using a different CRM before, so to transfer everything else was an adjustment. And I do have an assistant who takes care of a lot of it for us, but I find it to be super, super helpful. Like just with reaching out to your database, following up, um, sending out those emails, those email
Yeah.
blasts, those kind of things. I do love that. Even in terms of, lead gen, which is another story in its own. But even in terms of that, I do like it. Actually, we've had great success with it. I think most people at the brokerage are loving it.
Yeah. Are you okay? So it takes a while. It's a thick system. Like it is so heavy
Mhm.
and there's a lot of components to it. So have you gotten into the building of landing pages, building of squeeze pages,
Mhm.
all of that fun stuff? Because
Yeah.
they have everything. I'm just every new agent that I bring on, I help them obviously set up their KV core, and they're just like blown away. They're like, "Holy
Oh,
shit,
that's good. Yeah.
what have I been
I
doing?"
definitely am not probably using it as best as I could be, but just from what we've done so far, it's been really great.
Yeah, yeah. So, what are you guys using for lead gen right now? Like, are you hiring lead gen companies? Are you doing your funnels yourself? Are you just using your CRM with, more traditional senses of prospecting? Or what are you doing?
So we were with a lead gen company, like a pretty well known one that we were with for a little while. I think I've done a couple different ones, to be honest. Um, but most recently, we've shifted into our own. So we're doing our own kind of funneling and our own
Mhm.
landing pages, like you said, to try to generate leads that way, which I felt has been a little bit better.
Mhm.
I'm not a huge lead gen fan, to be honest, like on online leads, I should say. To be
Mhm.
honest, I'm not. My business is more about like my CRM and focusing on the
Yeah,
database and building relationships and doing and building our clients that way. I would say 99% of my business comes from that. So
yeah,
the lead gen part of it, I do for my team to give them, to give them leads. So I found in doing it this way, like where we're doing our own landing pages and our own funnels and kind of doing it through KV Core has been really good compared to being with outside companies.
yeah. And I added lead gen into my coaching program for the simple reason that Meta. Okay, so Meta ads, we obviously as realtors have to have the special ads category. There's
Yeah.
there's there's a serious lack of ability to target properly with Meta ads, which
Hmm.
always hasn't been the case. But for me, I've been able to get around it up until last year by doing retargeting audiences, lookalike audiences, using pixels. But you can't do that anymore. So I don't know if you know that, but there is no retargeting audiences anymore through Meta. So I don't believe
Okay.
in spending any more money on lead gen for the simple reason that you're hiring a company to do something that can only really for your business operate at such a low level that you and I could do ourselves. So there's no point anymore.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was lucrative to hire somebody who understood pixels, who understood retargeting, but we've completely lost that ability as realtors to do that on Meta. So it's a
Yeah.
no-brainer. Why are we
Yeah.
going to pay somebody $1,000 a month when we can just run our own ads now?
Yeah.
I used to use
Exactly.
all of them
And
though. I used to use
yeah, me
all of
too.
those
I've used so many.
companies. Like I
Yeah.
used like I think I've used like 6 or 7 in my career.
Yeah.
And it was really lucrative about 8 or 9 years ago. It was lucrative because not everybody was
Yeah.
using them. But the general public is really, they know what's going on now. They're not falling into the traps anymore. So,
Yeah, and I was laughing the other day when you posted. You got a reply from whatever from a lead. Someone was asking for information, but what they gave you, and I was laughing because I've seen that so many times. But I feel I used to get those a lot more when I was with those other lead gen companies. Where now I don't feel like I'm getting those ones as much.
yeah.
But I think the important thing is to know, like I know that I don't know about all that stuff. So for me, it was important to put someone in place. So although we're doing our own pages and funneling, whatever, I have someone who's doing that because that's not my strong suit. So I feel like it's important to know what you're strong, because there's no point in you doing it if you don't know nothing about it. If you're not going to
Yeah.
get good leads out of it. So having someone in place to kind of set those for us has made a big difference too.
Yeah, as realtors, we really need leverage as a huge part of our business, especially when we want to
Absolutely.
grow and scale and grow a team. It needs to happen. You need to hire people out for the jobs that
Absolutely.
they specialize
Yeah.
in, right? Does your team have an ISA?
So again, another thing. So I did have one a few years ago. We hired an ISA, but it was great for a couple of months because you sign a contract with them. They tell you how many leads they're going to give you and how many appointments you're going to get. And for the first few months, it was great. We were getting tons of appointments, and then it just quickly died off where we weren't getting anything from
Mm.
them. Not anything, but not what they had promised. So
Mhm.
we ended up, only staying with them for, I think it was a year, maybe just under a year. And just recently, again, we're just looking into it again about
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
getting someone to do it for us.
So
I think it's good.
what's it like working with your husband? Tell me all of
You know what?
this.
I don't know if this is like a popular opinion or what, but I actually love it. It's not like anything juicy. It's so funny because so I've been licensed obviously for 15 years. We talked about Dennis didn't get his license until 2016. And I had to convince him. I was like, you need to do this. Like, you would be so great at this. And his background is all like investing in construction, and he just knows everything about building and those kind of things. So, um, I would be at houses. We joke because I say this all the time to my team, and I, said it to a Revel function that I'm at houses and I take pictures and I like send stuff to him. What is this? Tell me what this is. So I would be trying to convince him, get your license, and then finally he did, and he got it. And I remember when he did, I actually met with another agent that I know, and she works with her husband.
Mhm.
And she said to me, it's the best thing ever. She was like, it has helped with our home life. It has helped with our business. And I was like, oh, okay, okay. This makes me feel good. So I can honestly say it's been fantastic.
Really?
Like
I
it's
couldn't.
just so much. It's so much easier with, well, first of all, with our kids, because we can definitely work off of each other and juggle off each other. We don't miss any of our kids' functions. So if I have an appointment and my daughter wants me to go to something for her from school, then Dennis would just go to my appointment and I would go. Vice versa. If my son's got something that he wants my husband to go to, then we kind of feed off of each other that way. So
Yeah.
it's been great. And in real estate, we laughed about this morning. We're in our car, having a talk in our car because we're in our car all the time. It's not like I'm sitting beside him working side by side all day long.
Yeah.
We have our own appointments, we have our own clients, right? So it's more just you have someone to bounce things off of all the time. If one
Yeah.
of us have appointments or functions, the other one of us gets it. I'm not dragging him to real estate functions where he's like, seriously, why do I got to go to this? you know, where that's what it was like before he got his license.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I couldn't imagine working with Ricardo. But you know what?
No.
It's no, well, I don't know. I like having I have my office in my home. I love it. I
Yeah.
have my dogs here, and I'm primarily a listing agent and I coach, so it's all virtual, right?
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
like my peace and quiet, and
Yeah.
but the only thing I am missing, honestly, is probably was that your dog? That's so cute.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. I have 2 giants. I don't know where they are right now,
He's
thank God.
Well, my dog's 3 pounds.
Aw.
It's literally like this. And
No worries.
we back onto like a forest, and so he hears like animals back there constantly, and so he's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
that's a
Okay, I love animals. I'm pro animal over here. Yeah, I feel
um,
like what I'm missing though is the ability to talk to him about my business so that he'll understand. Like he is a huge fan of my podcast, everything that I do, But if you ask him if he's ever listened to a podcast, his answer is yes, but that's only because he watches the clips on social media that I post. He's like, what would he do though? Sit there and listen to a podcast about real estate for an hour? You know what I mean? It just doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. Just like I'm sure you can only listen about his business for, for so
Oh
long
God,
too, right? With what he does.
right?
Yeah.
Like, how much do I
Totally.
need to know about building bridges? Seriously.
Yeah. I mean, the only drawback I would say is, it's very easy for us to just talk about real estate, right?
Mm,
Because we're both real estate agents. We have a team
yeah.
together, our businesses together, where we build houses together. So it's very easy to get in that, frame where you're just talking about real estate, right?
Yeah.
So that would be the only thing is we really need to focus to, get out of that, or when we're with the kids, just be focused on them and not talking about, like, our kids are constantly like, oh my God, you guys, we're trying to
Yeah.
like mold them into realtors already.
That's the best idea. We're going to take over your empire. It's going to be great. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about, first of all, what do you think is the biggest struggle right now that you're seeing with buyers and sellers? Like, you're in the Niagara market. What do you think? I know listings are sitting a little bit longer here down in Niagara, but no worries, people. That's all about to change real soon. What do
Yeah.
you think the biggest struggles are? Like, I did a radio show yesterday, and he kept asking
Mhm.
me the same question over and over again, and it was like, how are people supposed to afford homes? How are people affording homes? How are they getting their down payment? Rent is so much money. So what are you seeing are the biggest struggles for your clients right now?
So similar to you, as I'm more of a listing agent, but because I have a team, we do have buyers agents on the team, and so I would say that the buyer's biggest struggle, obviously, right now is getting financing. So the mortgage, the interest rates, I would say, is the biggest thing, which is why it was good that they kind of settled off. They didn't raise them again this past month. And I think
Right.
that's why we've been starting to see, which I think is kind of in line with what's happening up in Hamilton and GTA, is buyers are starting to get more comfortable right now. They're coming out of the woodwork. They're
Mhm.
like, getting a little bit more confident in getting their financing. So I think that has been the struggle, but I think we're about to see that change because of where the market is going. I think with the interest rates now being leveled out, I think the biggest thing for them was the unknown, not knowing like what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Is the interest rates going to keep going up? Am I going to be able to afford this?
Yeah.
With any buyer, whether you're a new buyer or not. So I think that was the biggest thing. But I'm starting to see that shift right now and that change. So I feel like right now they're not struggling that much as buyers. I think they're out there and they're like buying. We're seeing competing offers again. So I'm seeing that trend starting where I know
Yeah.
you guys have been seeing it and big time where we're just starting to get like 4 or 5 offers on a property. Um,
Yeah.
and then for sellers, the biggest struggle for sellers has been, getting around the idea that prices have changed
Oh,
compared to what they were before, right?
I
Because now
know.
they're saying, well, my neighbor sold their house for $100,000 more. That was only so many months ago. Why is it, why am I not getting that now? So I think that's been the biggest thing is for us is educating them,
Yeah.
educating our sellers on what the market is doing, and not just you can't just go into a house and show them comparables anymore. That doesn't work. You have to
Yeah.
actually show what's happening with the market and why this is happening. Where are these buyers coming from? Can they afford it? What are they going to be putting on an offer on your house? What are they going to be looking at? So I think that's the biggest struggle with sellers.
My silver bullet when I'm dealing with a seller that is unrealistic on price, because these sellers, they have a certain mindset that their property is worth a lot of money and somebody from somewhere is going to come in and give them what they want.
Yeah.
So my silver bullet is, okay, that's all great. That whole concept is fantastic. You get this magical buyer from Toronto that comes in and gives you exactly what you want for your home, which is a couple $100,000 over value. Here's what's going to happen next. Next, an appraiser is going to come in. And when that does not appraise, that deal isn't going through. So it doesn't matter. And we really have to stress this to our sellers. It doesn't matter if Joe Blow over there wants to pay you, 1.5 for your home that's worth 1.3. That deal is not going to close.
Exactly.
So that's helped me personally a lot dealing with these
absolutely.
sellers, because I'm not telling them their house isn't worth that much or that nobody will pay that much. I'm telling them it won't close at that much. And that's a softer blow for them to absorb than just being told that their house isn't worth that much money, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, and like I said, it's just about educating them, right? So that they have all the information.
Have you ever had any clients that didn't trust you? And you know what I mean by don't trust you? Like, they sound like they do, and they know you're the best at what they do. That's why they hire you. But you don't see eye to eye with them on either price or what's happening in the market, and they think they know better, right? I've been in so many of those situations. How about yourself?
Yeah, I have. I've been, kind of on both sides where one, they're not trusting you because they just maybe had another dealing with a realtor and it went sour, and now they're coming into with you and they don't have that trust. So it's a little hard to kind of break that down for them to be able to, understand. And again, it's educating them and telling them, not just, I find that's another thing. One thing is that I don't want to go in and just talk about me. Like, this is what I do. And this is what I really want to show them, not just my value. Yes, I'm showing them my value, but like you said, they know that, or else they wouldn't have called you. So
Yeah.
it's more about how do you get that barrier down to, to get them to trust you when they just had a sour deal with maybe another realtor. But then, as you're saying, where you just don't get that drive with them. And those are the listings that you lose, right? When you're going to a listing and they just don't trust what you're saying, and someone else has come in and they've given them a different price. But then you see what happens. It sits on the market, right?
Yeah.
And then I think that's when they realize is, wow, I should have gone with that other realtor. That was telling the truth. So I think that's the hardest barrier to break, is when you're, competing maybe against other realtors that are giving different information and they don't trust you because they're getting something from other ones.
Yeah, I find that it multiplies for me personally when we're in the middle of a changing market. So like 2017, I had like three sellers that, they trust you. Like, I don't want to say they don't trust you, because they do. They hired you for a reason. But things are changing so quickly, and we all know it takes people a while to adjust to any type of change. So then they start, you're showing them what's happening, they're seeing it, but then they're just like, no, you're just not doing things properly, but it's the market, right? So I see it a whole lot more in changing markets. Absolutely. Yeah, 2017 and now last year. I had one, oh my goodness, Phyllis. I had one listing. It was crazy. I told them to go to market in February. They wanted to wait. We got up in June. So, in Hamilton in June, there was nothing moving. I don't care what kind of price you had, people would not make a move because it was the beginning, right? It was, yeah, they were scared, right? And we were trying to do price drops. And I'm really good at predicting price drops. I always know what's going on in my market, like day by day. But I'm sure you can agree that it takes a few days, if not a few weeks, for sellers to come to terms with a changing market. So when I'm like, okay, this is what we got to do, this is the price point we have to be at right now, we would get there at the end of the month. And then guess what was happening? Prices were dropping again, because prices were dropping weekly. So we were playing catch up for 3 months, and it's a lack it's a lack of trust though, right? It's like, it is what it is.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
job
Yeah.
isn't all glamorous. Realtors get a lot of hate. Okay. So if I showed you my DMs and my comments on all my social media, you might cry, especially on TikTok. Okay. I don't know what it is about TikTok, but they fucking hate
Mhm.
realtors on TikTok. So I get called
Really? There's one
scum.
thing I'm not on is TikTok.
Yeah, I got called scum, you
Really?
realtor scumbags, and
Oh my God.
you're the reason that prices are out of control. Like we have
Yeah.
anything to do with
Yeah.
this whatsoever. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
I
fear
do
and
have to I do have to monitor my comments on certain things sometimes. Mostly like if they are advertised posts, like
mm,
sponsored posts or whatever, those ones I have to kind of monitor because I do get those. And you're right, it's always people that are blaming, the market
yeah,
on us that we're the ones that set the market. Um, but I think it's just lack of education. They don't know. They listen to the media, people
yeah,
don't understand, or like I said, they've had a bad experience. Like, there are some in every industry, right? There's good and there's bad. So I think, usually comes from some place where they've had a bad experience or they heard something, but I find usually comments I get on, those kind of comments I have to delete are people who just don't understand. They're just not understanding
yeah.
what it's like or how it works. But
My
I do get a
ads,
lot of hate.
yeah, my ads go haywire when I mention in a listing ad that the property is tenanted. Even though I say tenants would love to stay, this is what they're oh yeah, you have to see the comments. Like
Oh, really?
one of them had about 100 comments about displacing
Oh
tenants, and
my
I'm like,
God.
guys, did you even read my
Oh
listing?
my
Like it's
God.
being sold with a tenant. Nobody's kicking anybody
Oh
out.
my, well, and that's the other thing. I think they're not actually even reading it. Like for me, I had one that was just an advertisement. It was just about like if you want a home evaluation on your home, one of those advertisements a while ago that I had. And there was a house in the picture, and the comments were like, "Oh yeah, this house is $1 million and should only be this much." Or I'm thinking, but that's not even. I'm just saying, if you want a valuation on your
Yeah.
house, click the link.
Oh,
But all the comments had nothing even to do with it. They were just talking about like, "Oh, this is whatever," just different comments like that about didn't even make sense. But to do
I
with the ad.
know. So let's talk a little bit about Niagara, the market in Niagara. You are from Niagara, your business is in Niagara. Do you and you built here, correct?
Hmm.
You've built homes?
Like we've done our own homes, like we've built our
Yes.
own homes and kind of moving into that a little bit more.
I love
But
it.
no, we're not like builders by any means.
Yeah. No. Um, so what are you seeing happening in Niagara right now, in the resale market for safe freeholds?
So, like I was just mentioning, we're seeing that shift. Like back in December, I would say I feel like it was right around Christmas time. All of a sudden, we had these listings that were sitting on the market for a few months, couple months, because the end of last year or
Yeah.
middle to end of last year was very slow. And then all of a sudden in December, we started to get all these showings on our properties, and we thought, oh, okay, this is good. Like I'm feeling a shift here a little bit. So it was good. I would say it was the end of December where I started to feel like a shift, where we were starting to get some more
Mhm.
activity on our listings. And then once January and February came, same thing was happening. We were getting a little bit of activity, but then they started with these rates, these interest rates. And each time that we had that, hike in interest rate, we felt it kind of stop and drop a little bit. So I
Yeah.
feel like this last little bit, I've been noticing, like the past month or so, I've been noticing a change where we're getting competing offers on our properties again. We haven't been seeing that in a long time.
Yeah.
Lots more showings on our listings, a ton more showings. Properties that we had that were sitting, normally we never, we haven't had that in a long time since I got
Yeah.
licensed, where
I
properties
know.
would sit for so long.
I know.
So those houses that were sitting have moved, like those have now been sold, and new ones that we're getting, we're finding a lot more activity. So tons more showings, offers on them, where we haven't seen that in a long time. So I think we're always a few steps behind Hamilton and GTA, and I know that that's
Yeah.
happening more there. So I feel like that's coming, which I think is
Yeah.
probably what's going to be in the next few months.
Yeah.
But with resale, I find it's definitely the activity has picked up for sure.
What about resale condos? So resale condos are really slow compared to freeholds in the GTA. Hamilton, they're slow. Are you seeing resale of condos slow as well?
Yeah,
In it?
I say that they're slow as well. And I don't have a ton of resale condos, but I know some of my team members who have been offering on some have gotten some pretty great deals actually, because they have been more slow, and
Mhm.
that's been pretty recent. So I think that
Yeah.
those sales have been a little bit slower. Why do you think that is, that that's happening up there?
Um, because of the price of your entry level detached, I think that you can get into.
Yeah,
I think that's what it comes down to. Condos were flying like hotcakes when the price range of detached homes was just way out of, anybody's comfort zone.
right.
Now that prices have dropped drastically on detached, because they have compared to last year,
Yeah,
uh, more people can afford those, right? And
yeah.
that's what they're leading more towards. I think the general public, maybe I'm wrong, but like my feeling of the general public is that people want a home instead of a condo. Do you find that? I feel like it's
Hmm.
always been like that.
Well, I feel like in Niagara, we don't have as much condo or even new construction condo that you see in the GTA and the
Yeah.
surrounding areas. Like we don't have, we do. I'm not saying we don't have them, but it's not as prominent as
Yeah.
detached. So yeah, I think that people prefer the detached over. I guess depending on where you are in life, but yeah, I would
Yeah.
say so. I would say it's definitely a smaller market.
Yeah. Now what about pre-con here in Niagara?
Hmm. Yeah.
Do you think that pre-con's
Um,
gonna pick back up down here?
I do. I think so. I think right now it's definitely slow. Well, I shouldn't say it's been slow, right?
Yeah.
Because they were affected big time. Last year, not even last year, but the year before, it was busy. Pre-construction was busy, but
Mhm.
the prices of material and the prices, the cost, even just finding people to do like laborers, all of that has gotten, pretty tough. So um, I think that the builders have all taken a step back a little bit. And well, the ones that we work with have taken a step back a little bit and they've slowed stuff down a little. And I think that's the
Yeah.
reason why, because prices have dropped, but their cost has not dropped. Their cost is still very high from COVID.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
and yeah, and even just finding people to work, like finding people to do the work, that has all changed since COVID. So I think they've taken a little bit of a step back, and that's why it's a little bit slower right now. And like you said, getting into resale, the prices are really great, and so
Mhm.
builders can't compete with that, right? So
Yeah.
I think that that's taken a step back, but I think that will change. I think as the market starts changing, which we'll see, I think in the next few months, with buyers coming back out, we are going to get back to that shortage of houses on the market again.
Mhm.
Right now we have quite a bit, but even just looking at our stats from last month, our number of houses that have sold is up from even the previous month before. And so I think that as that keeps happening, then the builders are going to start coming back out and building more, and that new construction is going to be up again.
I have a little bit of insight on this. So I do a
Yeah.
lot of commercial. And I have been doing, I'm actually in the middle of like 3 land for development deals in the Niagara region. And I
Yeah.
see almost everything in terms of site plan approved and raw land that happens in Niagara. It usually floats across my desk at some point in time. And
Mhm.
there's going to be a lot of pre-con coming for 2 reasons. One being, as of 2 years ago, a lot of Toronto builders bought up a lot of parcels of land, both raw and site plan approved, and they're getting ready to release them Number two, Niagara in general. The city is on board with development.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of things changing with the Ministry of the Environment as well in terms of environmentals and big changes to streamline development coming down the pipeline. And everybody who knows this is, yeah, I think we're in for a boom in inventory. Now, that's good. It's not going to affect our pricing because we have a huge shortage right now. It's just going to be more variety for people to choose from, right?
Yeah.
So I see a
Absolutely.
lot of projects coming. I have two myself coming
Yeah.
in the Niagara region soon. One in Beamsville, one in Niagara Falls, and Port Colborne down the road too. So Welland has really taken off, Phyllis. What is happening in Welland? So
Yeah.
I just need to say, I just need to say I grew up here and I just moved back last year. And I got to tell you, it's like mind blowing the changes that are happening in Niagara. I don't even recognize a lot of the areas anymore. And
I know. Well, in Chippewa, like even Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls has gotten, like even
yeah,
where I live in Niagara Falls, years ago, this was nothing. This was, there was nothing out here in the south end of Niagara Falls.
yeah,
But yeah, it's definitely changing. And I think that all started just because now it's kind of caught up a little bit, but well, we still are priced lower than other areas. And I think that's why people started to realize that, wait a minute, Niagara does have a lot to offer. We're a short distance away from the GTA.
mhm,
And you can get a lot more for your money, and that's kind of what started it. I think when people started being able to work from home and they could hop on the GO train and,
mhm.
be into
Yeah.
downtown in no time. So I think that's kind of helped fuel that a little bit, but you're right. It's grown a lot for sure.
Yeah, I'm
It's
seeing
just
a
about
lot. Yeah, I'm here. I'm seeing a lot of site plan approved inventory for Welland, Port Colborne, and now Fort Erie as
yeah,
well. So, like,
yeah.
you got to
We have
build
something
somewhere,
in.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
absolutely. Okay, so obviously the future is bright for real estate. Listen, at the end of the day, the best time to buy a
Look in the
house
crystal ball.
is like 5 years ago. It's always going to be 5 years ago. I should have bought yesterday. I should have bought last year. I know we have little dips in our market. We always will have little dips in our market, but they don't last. If you look at a scale from, the 1930s up until now, there is a steady incline there. It remains the safest investment. Just remember, real estate is a long-term investment. If you need if you're putting in as a short-term investment that you're going to need to pull money out of next year, you're investing in the wrong thing. So that's my whole stance on that. Um, do you have any advice for realtors? If there was one thing going back to the beginning of your career that you would do differently, what do you think that would be?
I think getting out there, like getting out there in front of people. I think the biggest mistake that, realtors do, or part of it that they don't realize, is you can't be sitting behind your computer all day long and sitting at your desk all day long. It's not going to happen. Real estate is a social thing. So, I'm not saying you need to go out and, you're partying all the time, but I just mean you need to go out and get in front of people, whether that's open houses, whether that's at your kids' games that they're at, and you're
Yeah.
socializing with other parents that are there, whether that's at, depending on where you are kind of in your life. I think you need to get out there and get yourself in front of people. It's the only way people are going to know who you are. It's the only way people are going to trust you. They need to know you personally. You can't just be on social media, even, because even that, sometimes people don't know if it's fake or if it's real, or, are you portraying really what's happening? Are you not? So I think, and because we were in, during COVID for so long that we couldn't get in front of people, utilize that time now. I always say to especially new agents coming in, get out there, do your open houses, get out in front of people, network, socialize. I think that's the biggest thing. So that people know who you are, that they're going to trust you, that you're going to be front of mind when they're talking about real estate,
Yeah.
to anyone else who they're going to want to refer, who they're speaking to. I think
Mhm.
that's a thing that we've lost along the way, is just getting that face to face, communication and rapport with people.
So you do open houses. Obviously, your team probably does open houses. I have a theory about open houses. I hate them. I've done 2 this
Okay.
year only. I've only done 2 this year on my listings, and it's been like
Yes.
this for, I think, maybe since pre-COVID for me. I find that the 90%, so if I have 50 groups through my open house on a Sunday, I would say that 45 of those groups, their agent is just too lazy to book an appointment and sent them through my open house.
Hmm.
What do you think?
Okay.
Are you seeing that?
Um, I don't. I actually think that open houses are a fantastic way to get clients. And I think what it is,
Mhm.
I'm not saying that you do this or anyone else does this, but I think what happens is a lot of agents, they set a sheet up at the front door. They say sign in when you come in, and people sign in automatically. And of course, they check mark, yes, I have an agent, because they don't want people bothering them. And I think that's the number one mistake, where we don't do that. Like, I don't get you to sign in when you first come in. You come in, we chit chat. I tell you about the property, talk to you, build a relationship. And most times, by the end of that person leaving my open house, they will sign. They will give me their information. And usually they don't have a realtor. And I think it's because it's building that relationship before, like when you're trying to get someone's information when they're first walking in, that doesn't happen. No one gives you their right information, even if they do write something
Oh
down.
my god.
So I
I
think that,
I make them.
but
I force them.
yes, and try it. Try it. Next time you're open house, I want you to try it this way instead.
Oh my god. I have
But
people who are refusing to do, like, I had this one lady walk in. My open house was a zoo. And I know the majority of them had agents because we had multiple offers, and they were all from agents who've never booked an appointment. They were all from their clients
yeah,
coming to the open house.
yeah,
But like, I had this one lady come in and I'm like, "Do you mind signing in?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that." I'm like, "That was not a request,
yeah,
because you're walking into somebody's home right now.
yeah,
This
yeah,
is a safety issue. I don't prospect for clients. I'm not going to be fucking calling you, but you better
yeah,
be signing in this sheet with at least your name, because this is somebody's home you're walking in. Can you
mhm,
can you just walk into well, it's for sale. They say, "Well, the house is for sale." Yes, but if you were to make an appointment with a realtor to see that house, they need to pre-qualify you. If they're a decent realtor, they're pre-qualifying you, getting your
yes,
ID, and know who you are before you're walking into that house. Why do you think it's any different at an open house? Why do you think you should just be able to roam around somebody's house without giving your name? That's
yeah. I
unsafe
think
and it's
I think
ridiculous.
it's definitely different if you have a super busy open house. Then yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. Then that's different, where you can't manage and see where people are going. 100%. That's
Yeah.
different. Which for me, anyways, on our listings, we haven't been getting that many people. Like, the most we've been getting is like 10 parties through, and not even all at once. So it's been very manageable. But definitely, I think if it's a super busy open house, then I 100% would do that and agree with you. Um, and then also saying that I do like, whether they're signing up to talk to me or not, I would at least get them to sign before they leave. I'm just saying that they're more likely to do it once they have a
Yeah.
relationship with you.
Yeah. That's true.
But definitely if it's a super busy one, and usually we're two people, like on an open house, we're not always just one person. So
Yeah.
that kind of helps as well. We like to make sure that there's people, especially if we know it's going to be a busy one.
Yeah. That's my pet peeve though. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I get frustrated with people that, are difficult, I think it's just, that's the point in my career that I'm at, probably,
Yeah,
right? I feel
absolutely.
like we may lose a little bit of patience the years that we go on. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm gonna
That's
ask
for sure.
you I'm gonna ask you a series of questions. You're from Niagara Falls. Do you live in Niagara Falls right now, or are you outside of the falls?
Niagara Falls.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a few questions because for our listeners, for anybody who lives in Niagara, but most of all for me. Okay, give me your top 3 restaurants in Niagara Falls.
Ooh, okay. My top 3 restaurants in Niagara Falls.
Yes.
Okay. I would have to say Casamia.
Yes.
I actually love the Keg.
Me too.
I love it.
Right? I don't know. I do too.
And my third in Niagara Falls is going to be Napoli.
Really? I haven't been there in
Yeah.
years. Okay,
They have
so
great, like, just authentic Italian food.
your favorite gym or workout space?
Oh gosh. If I went to the gym, then I would, then I could answer that, but I don't.
Okay, next question.
Wait, where's my husband go? My husband goes to the one, I don't even know what it's called. The one by Niagara Square, the old Niagara Square. What is that called? Beside Winners.
Oh, yeah. That's I know which one you're talking about. Like not Crunch, but World Gym. World Gym?
World, I think that's what it is. I think
something like that. Okay. How about your favorite hairstylist in the Niagara area?
Ooh, okay. Does it have to be Niagara Falls?
No, anywhere in the Niagara area, because you know that us women will drive anywhere for a good haircut and color.
Okay, then I have to give a shout out to Storm because that is my favorite place. They're just I love their products that they use. They're Aveda, so they're natural products. They do so much training, so like their staff is very well trained in all types of different hair. Plus, it's my husband's family salon, and I worked there for tons of years.
I go there too. I think you told me to go there when I first moved here. I think I was messaging you where I need to go. Okay, best organic grocery. These are all great things for people that are from out of town, right? Or maybe just moving here.
Absolutely. I actually love Camisos in Niagara Falls I feel like they have tons of organic. And I've actually never been, maybe it was me and you that talked about this somewhere in St. Catharines, but I haven't been there actually. But I think there was somewhere in St.
Farm
Catharines.
Boy.
Is it Farm Boy? Yes. But I actually haven't been there yet, but Camisos for me.
I know. I liked Farm Boy, but it's just a drive for me. I just don't like driving to the grocery store that far, right?
And that's why I haven't been there. Yeah.
What about best like bar pub where you can go see a band or karaoke? Any kind of like, what's your best recommendation for a nightlife spot?
Again, I feel like I don't even do that anymore. So, there's Cat's Kitchen. I know sometimes they have some great live music. I've been there sometimes. And then also down by across from the casino, it's called, have you been there? It's called
I think Felix works there, right?
What's it called?
The Hilton in the main floor of the Hilton?
Yeah, like in the downstairs.
I know what you're talking about. Spice?
Yes.
Spice. I haven't been, but I've heard of it.
Spice Lounge. I believe it's Spice Lounge. We've been there quite a few times because sometimes after concerts or whatever, we'll go there, and it's great. It's great for that live music and just it's got a cool vibe. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, Phyllis. It was a pleasure to talk to somebody from my past. Holy shit, we've known each other for like 20 years. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
We're so old.
Probably more, actually.
I know.
I would say more than that. We're going to age ourselves now.
I know. It's wild. And it's fantastic to be back. And we're going to do some business together. And if you guys have any questions for Phyllis, reach out to her at Revel. Thank you so much, Phyllis.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to everything they never told you about real estate. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. To connect with Carrie or for more information about her coaching program, check out carriesoave.ca or at Carrie Soave and Associates on Instagram and TikTok. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.